Single parenting isn't easy. We understand. Most parents don't plan to go it alone, but you can still make the most of this journey for your children and yourself. In fact, if you and your family are on that journey, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Single Parent Advocate community and to our podcast. And here are your hosts, single parent founder Stacy Poitras, and broadcast journalist, single dad and friend, Daryl Moody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Single Parent Advocate podcast. I'm your host, Daryl Moody, joining you once again from my studios, home studios here in Orlando, Florida. Stacy, the Single Parent Advocate, she is in those beautiful SPA studios there at the Venture X Louisville, the fine folks there at the Realm at Castle Hills. Want to say a special thank you to them. Our guest this week is the CEO of Gabb Wireless. His name is Nate Randle. We're going to talk to him in a minute. But first, Stacy, bring us up to date with Single Parent Advocate. What have you been working on this week?
So this week, we solidified our distribution location for our Christmas outreach, which is going to be Faith for Life Church in the Farmers Branch area of Dallas-Fort Worth, which is super awesome because they came alongside of us with Matthew 6 Ministries for back to school when we distributed all of the backpacks this last summer. So now we're going to go back to Faith for Life Church. That's where we're going to distribute on December the 18th. Families will come and we will bless them with Christmas gifts and holiday resources, meals and things. And so I'm really glad to have gotten that locked down. And we also are putting together Home for the Holidays boxes. It's our goal to bring Christmas to life in the homes of our families, especially right now. Single parents, as you know, are isolated a lot of times either because of their time or their resources. And so we want to make sure Christmas is alive, not just for when they come and get what we're able to provide for them for Christmas. We want them to take something home and play games and do crafts and have hot chocolate and apple cider and all the things that can make the time at home with our kids a lot more enjoyable. So
awesome. And you just received a pretty big financial boost from Gabb Wireless. We'll get into that in a minute, but I feel like I stepped on you. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Nope, that's good. And that's what the details that we have so far. There is another group coming alongside of Gabb Wireless, and they're called Matthew 6 Ministries. And they're powered by Home Expo here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And so Home Expo will be giving us the muscle we need to move everything around, as well as, hands-on help with volunteerism and things like that. So really, it's all coming together really, really great. And I'm super humbled and pumped for the smiles we're going to see on these kids' faces. Honestly, it's going to be exciting.
It is exciting. Good stuff. And I can't wait to learn those details as we get closer to Christmas. So let's jump in with our guest, Nate Randle of Gabb Wireless. Now, Nate, I understand, all of our guests, when we bring them on here, we always ask them, tell us your single parenting story. And you're not a single parent yourself, but you were raised by a single parent. Tell us that story.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Daryl. So my parents divorced when I was 5, and my mom was left on her own to raise my little sister and I. So she was single for a couple of years, and then she got remarried to my stepdad, who's every bit my dad now, Steve, and they had a child together. So I have a full little sister and then a half brother. And 2.5 years into their marriage, my parents were building a house together, and my mom got in a car accident and passed away. So by the age of 9, I'd lost my biological dad to a divorce, who I didn't have a relationship with anymore, and my biological mom to a car accident, and I was left living with my stepdad, who I'd only known for a couple of years. He's now my hero. And grew up in his home up through high school when I left to college. So I had a kind of a double single parent situation, first with my mom and then with my stepdad.
They say, there's a difference between being a father and a dad, and you don't have to necessarily be a biological father to be a dad. So, what were some of the challenges growing up? You said you'd only known your stepdad for a couple of years, and now you find yourself with him as the lone parent. How did you navigate that?
It wasn't easy. It was really, really hard at times. I'll share that my grandparents, my mom's parents, offered to take us kids. They went to my stepdad, my mom's second husband, and said, "You've only been married to our daughter a couple of years. We just lost her in a car accident. If you would like us to take the kids, you can visit whenever you'd like. You can spend as much time with them as you want, but we would be more than happy to take the kids so that you can move on with your life and your career." And he said, "Absolutely not. I love your daughter. I love my wife. I'm going to raise these kids and do whatever I have to do to take care of them." And so from that point on, he went from a stepdad to a full-time caring hero dad. And he adopted my sister and I. He had his child with my mom, my little brother, but he adopted my sister and I, and we are family. He never got remarried, still is not remarried to this day, but has been the perfect figure of a dad who dedicated his life to taking care of us.
Once you reached adolescence, I mean, you think of the terrible scenario of trying to discipline a child, and you're not my dad, you're not my real dad. How did that go as far as adolescence, becoming a teen, that sort of thing?
We had those moments. I had plenty of those moments with my dad. I cared about sports and he cared about grades. So I played football, baseball, and basketball, and I would have what I thought was an amazing football game with a couple of touchdowns, and I'd come home and tell him, and he'd say, "That's great, but you got to be in math." Now, what he was doing is a little bit of tough love to say, "I know you're good at sports. I know you love sports, but let's make sure we take care of the academics because that's what will take you farther in life." And I'm really grateful that he instilled those things in me, because I went on to get my degree and have had a successful career because of that. He was the guide to making sure that I took care of my scholastics.
And at what age did you realize, what you had in your dad?
Really early, actually. I didn't love it because I was a teenager and I wanted to press against him and make life difficult at times. We call him Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. He looks like him. He talks like him. His mannerisms are like him. It is really hard to get into disagreement with my dad because he's so even-tempered and respectful. And one of the things he taught me very early after my mom passed away is, if you carry yourself in a way that never disrespects our family name, you'll always be in good standing with me. If you disrespect our family name, you'll have a problem with me. And he had worked really hard to establish his name and respect for his parents, and he wanted to pass respect down to me. And I tried to do as much as I could to respect his name, although I was a high school kid and got in trouble here and there. But for the most part, I kept that in my mind to respect his last name.
Now, you had mentioned your stepdad's focus on your education and how that, kind of steered you toward your career. You're in Utah. I'm in Florida. Stacy's in Texas. I am not familiar with Gabb Wireless. Tell me about your company.
Yeah, thank you. Very simply put, we are safe tech for kids. So we have a phone and a couple of watches right now. And the intent of our product is to allow parents to stay connected to their kids. I'll use my daughter as an example. I've got a 10-year-old and she's everywhere. She's at dance. She's at friends' houses. She's at the swimming pool in the summer. She's so active, it's really tough to keep track of where she's at. And with a Gabb watch and phone, I can stay connected to her. We can have open dialogue on where she's at or where she's going, but it doesn't have the internet. It doesn't have social media, and it doesn't have games. So I don't have to worry that while she's away from us as parents, that she's into something that could get her in trouble digitally. So it's a great communication tool without all the hassles of everything that the internet brings to kids when they're just too young, frankly, to have a smartphone.
Nate, I can't tell you how eerie this is for me. God sends people into your life at a time when you need them. It sounds like the technology that you have is exactly what I need. And, Stacy and I talk about how my personal life kind of plays out on the show all the time. And I didn't tell her about this, but I have a challenge in my family right now with my 8-year-old daughter, who my ex-wife gave her an iPhone, and she's already gotten in trouble with the iPhone, texting something to a classmate. And it's kind of a serious situation. I don't want to get into the details, but she was trying to be funny and texted something to a friend that was completely inappropriate. And now we're trying to figure out how to resolve this. And I, an hour ago, I was on the phone with my ex-wife talking to her about this. And I said, look, I'm not opposed to Elise having a cell phone, but I'm going to go buy her a prepaid dumb phone that isn't connected to the internet, a flip phone, so she can call you and she can call me. And I said, clearly you have to agree with me that an 8-year-old girl does not need to be able to text with her friends. What technologies do these phones have that a typical cell phone doesn't have?
So it's just locking them down with our software. So we have a Gabb platform. So we don't allow outside apps. It's not like your kid has, well, first of all, Daryl, I'll tell you, I'm sorry you're in that situation. I should say that first. I've been there as a parent. One of the biggest mistakes I've made as a parent is I gave my oldest daughter, who's now in college, an iPhone too soon. And what my wife and I assumed is that we had a great relationship with her and we trusted her and she had a great relationship with us. And so if we just put the quote unquote parental controls on it, it would allow her to be safe, but allow us to communicate. Well, what you don't realize as a parent is as soon as you give your kid a smartphone, it's like pushing them in the deep end without a life jacket. They don't know how to swim. It's tech that's so far over their head that they don't need, but they want to learn how to use it. And they have friends that know how to use it. And before you know it, that circle of friends that they have are breaking the trust that you have with your kid. So the same thing happened to my 10-year-old. I gave her a smartphone way too soon. And in a matter of weeks, her innocence was taken away. And when I saw what was being sent back and forth on her phone, it crushed me as a parent. I couldn't believe that I let it happen. So what we've done is create a platform, a Gabb platform that doesn't allow those apps. You can't put the app store on our phone. So your kid isn't secretly downloading Instagram or TikTok or pick all the other apps.
Snapchat.
You know exactly what's on the phone. And with an app on your phone, you can track and see what's going on and know who her contacts are. So it's some would say, well, that's a helicopter parent. At 8 years old, you should be involved in your kid's life. You should.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
So that's what we've done is we've created a safe tech platform for kids with a phone and a watch. We'll be adding other features, products, and services over time. We've got several tens of thousands of customers now. And it's very clear that parents are looking for a solution, especially with everything going on with social media.
Now, does this have, I don't want to say GPS capabilities, but I mean, can you track your child's location with one of these phones or watches?
Absolutely. With both phone and watch, it has GPS. You know exactly where your kid's at. You can also set up safe zones. So my daughter loves the Gabb watch. We have a safe zone in our neighborhood. If she's in that safe zone, it doesn't alert me. As soon as she steps outside of the safe zone, I get a message to my phone that says, your daughter's left the safe zone.
Incredible.
So I can set up a zone that lets her go play in the neighborhood, have her freedom. She and I have trust. She can go out and have a great time and not feel like she's being watched over. But if she steps outside of it for any reason, I get a notification that lets me know. And there's several other features, but with being able to talk and text back and forth with your kid, knowing where they're at and having peace of mind that they're not doing something digitally on the internet that's getting them in trouble or taking away their innocence, it is the perfect solution for the safe step into tech for kids.
I'm beside myself. I mean, Stacy, normally you and I talk about this before the show and I'll say, hey, this is what I have going on. But I mean, this happened today. And here you are, the CEO of this company. I'm gonna buy one of these phones tomorrow.
Well, I may know somebody that can get you taken care of, so you don't have to worry about it. We'll get
that would be tremendous. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of shocked by this because, like I said, this is something that's in my life today, and it just happened, and I'm like wondering what the solution is. I'm going to go to Walmart and buy a track phone, and here is this.
Yeah. So here's the other challenge: is every parent is facing what you're facing. If it's not today, it's tomorrow. And if it's not tomorrow, it's probably last week. And so what happened is there was a smartphone and then there was a flip phone and there was nothing in between. Well, if your kid has a flip phone and they go to elementary school or junior high or high school, they're going to get made fun of. Now you got your kid getting bullied for having a flip phone or a quote unquote burner phone that doesn't look like everybody else's. And as safe as it may be from the tech perspective, your kid has to explain why they're the only one in the room that doesn't have the product that looks like everybody else.
That's so true.
We've developed our product to look like a smartphone, same size, same everything, but it has a different operating system so your kid can be safe.
You sold me. I think this is amazing. This is exactly what I need. I'm sure many of our viewers and listeners need the same technology.
I remember these battles. Now, Nate, I don't remember if I told you, but my son is 21 now. He lives in Kauai. No, he doesn't live in Kauai. He lives in Hilo. He's going to the University of Hawaii. Recently married his high school girlfriend, and they're forging their way in Hawaii. And he was in musical theater. And so there was as a single parent, you have to have a village. And so there were always different people picking him up from school, taking him from there to the theater. And then I would be working till 6 or 7 at night, like, a lot of people, I guess, do. And by the time I got to him, he had probably changed hands 4 or 5 times, walking to like different restaurants or places to go with his friends after practice. And it was unsettling. So, I gave him an iPhone. I made sure we were connected on text and we shared music and contacts and things like that. But there was this whole other conversation going on in other social media platforms that later, it ended up blowing up on us. And it was a long time to recover from that. And I know his life would have been different. And those situations would have been different had that door never been opened, Of course, now he's a young man and he'd probably like, Mom, yeah, you totally are a helicopter parent. But, I think this is awesome, especially, for students who are, in theater arts or like you were saying, in sports, and they have different people that they go with, and they need to be able to communicate. And so this is huge. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's the more active your kid is, the more they interact with different people, and you don't know all those people.
Right.
So we are not naive enough to think that your kids shouldn't experience tech and they shouldn't interact with other people. And we don't want a young adult who goes from high school to college and has never interacted with social media at all and then is overwhelmed by everything when they get into the real world. We're not trying to create helicopter situations. We're not trying to create overbearing parents. We just want to help parents and kids realize that there are safe steps into tech. And an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old with a smartphone is not a safe step into tech. It's a ticking time bomb, and it's pushing your kid in the deep end and saying, swim without swim lessons. No one would do that. No one would take your kid to a pool that doesn't know how to swim, push him in the deep end and say, good luck. But that's what we're doing with smartphones. We're walking them to the end of the diving board and we're pushing them off and we're saying survive. And the majority of kids don't survive because they're overwhelmed with what happens on those devices. They have access to everything in the world, and anybody at any point can get in touch with them. It's completely overwhelming for these kids and not fair. They're losing every single battle with these smartphones.
Well, I want to take the conversation into just another little area, because you yourself are such an inspiration, having grown up in a single parent household and always been so active. One of the messages that I've always wanted to bring to single parents and their children is, that being a single parent or being the child of a single parent doesn't mean that you're broken. And I always talk about what heroes the children of single parents are, because they usually have more responsibility and a lot more different variables to deal with. And a lot of that skill that comes from being the child in a single family household really can be a launch pad for leadership and career success. And I wanted to ask you, maybe could you describe a little bit of what you went through in your home with your family dynamics and how you feel like that may have prepared you for now being promoted to CEO of Gabb Wireless?
Sure. That's such a good question, Stacey, because I've thought a lot about it. I learned hard work from my hardworking mom. I didn't learn it from anybody else. I learned it from my mom. I watched her go through a divorce, and I watched her dig in and do whatever she had to do to take care of her kids. I will never forget watching my mom go to work, come home late at night, make us dinner, read us stories. I learned hard work from my mom. I'm sure she was down. I'm sure she felt broken, but she did whatever she had to do. So I learned hard work from my mom. From my dad, my stepdad, I get torn because when I say my dad, I don't have a relationship with my biological dad. He left. So when I say my dad, it's my second dad, who was my stepdad and adopted me, who's now my dad. He taught me no excuses. He said, you can lay in your room and come up with all the excuses in the world why you shouldn't be successful. Your biological dad left you. Your mom died in a car accident. You have every excuse in the world to be mediocre. If that's what you want to do, go do it. But if you want to be something that your mom would want you to be, and something that I think you would be, dig in. Prove everyone wrong and go be the absolute best you. And so I just never I never allowed it to be an excuse. And because my dad taught me that, in business, it's translated. From my mom, I learned hard work. And from my dad, no excuses. No excuses. Just make it happen. Build great teams. Treat your employees with respect. Be transparent and honest. Give them every opportunity in the world to succeed. And as a company, you'll win if you take care of your customers. I learned that from my dad. So I actually feel like I know I am who I am today as a leader and a colleague and a business professional because of my single parent upbringing.
Wow, that's so inspirational, Nate. And it's so true. It's so true. These families that we get to share life with out there are really, often carrying the broken badge around. And I want to stand up with you and Daryl and everybody and say, you know what, look at who you are and who you're becoming, because you are in this incredible balancing act, but it pays off in spades down the road when it's time for you to do professional development and grow into your own career,
Some of the best employees that I've had, some of the best teammates have been single parents because they know how to manage their time. They know how to communicate. They know how to move through a day much more. They don't waste time. And they know they got to get everything out of their workday because when they go home, they have a second job. When they go home, they are the CEO of their family and they've got to take care of their kid or kids. And so I have always really enjoyed working with single parents and have thought they added all the value and all the talent as anybody else in the organization because they know how to manage their lives. So while they may be feeling broken or down, I've had single parent colleagues deliver over and over and over again with some amazing work and ideas and just the overall value that they bring to the culture of a team because they're so well-rounded in how they manage their schedule and their time.
Well, that's a great endorsement. Thank you for answering that question. I guess the next thing I would be interested in maybe you speaking to, and Daryl, you can chime in here too, but if you had a word of wisdom for a group of young adults out there growing up in single parent homes, do you think about what your message to them may be?
Find a mentor. I have had, so my parents were amazing, and I give so much credit to them. My career opportunities, and even in college, I was not afraid to ask for help. And I think when you grow up as a single parent kid and you start to head out into college and the real world to look for your job, it's easy to take on this underdog. I'm going to do it myself. I'll take on the world. I'll prove everyone wrong.
Yep.
And I did that for a while, and I didn't get that far. And so what I took on, or the mentality I tried to create, was I'm not going to make any excuses, but I'm also not going to be afraid to ask. And so I would go to professors and I would say, I didn't tell them I was from a single parent home, but I would say, I have aspirations to work in sports. I want to be a marketing leader with a major company like Nike or Callaway Golf. What does it take to get there? And I would have professors say, you got to be an amazing writer. You got to be a logical thinker. And so I learned the type of skills that I would probably need professionally from professors, because I spent time, I asked. And then when I got my first job, I didn't look at my boss as a boss. I looked at him as a mentor. And I would ask questions beyond the job. How did you get in your current role? How did you decide which company to work for? What are your goals 5 and 10 years from now? And how are you planning to get there? And in every step of my career, I have had unbelievable mentors. But if you don't ask, mentors don't just come out of nowhere. Somebody does not walk up to you on the street as a youth that grew up in a single parent home and say, can I mentor you? It just doesn't happen. But if you walk up and ask, and you're humble enough to say, I'd love to learn from you, I've never had anybody turn me down. So I have a Rolodex of mentors that have impacted my life through the course of my career. And I still stay in touch with the majority of them. So I would, to summarize the question, ask for help, find mentors, be humble, and learn from them. Don't take it all on your own, because the underdog, do it myself mentality it wears you out, and it's really tough to maintain.
It is. It's and one of the things that I often talk about as it relates to career success as a single parent is, always being transparent, because, usually if you have that kind of relationship with a manager or a peer or a mentor within your company or your school, oftentimes we're dealing with schedule conflicts and things where we can't be 2 or 3 places at the same time. And so needing to be flexible, the need for being flexible kind of balances a lot with the opportunity to be transparent and maybe a little overly communicative, so that those around you know what you're dealing with and can help create that unique path to success. I'll never forget being, tied at the hip with one of my directors of sales. And, I would be needing to take my son to the doctor or wherever he needed to go. And it was kind of before this laptop lifestyle that we have now, where we can, as a result of certainly the pandemic, but even maybe a little bit before that, where we would unplug and we would, work from wherever we were. That wasn't the norm. The norm was you come in at 8, you go and you do your job, and then you report back in by 5, and then you get to, get the hour and a half or 2-hour drive back home during drive time, And if I didn't follow that pattern or couldn't follow that pattern, it was seen as a failure, even though I was probably, like you said, working harder and longer than many of my peers. Do you as a manager have any recommendations for parents kind of juggling that today, with accountability and transparency, and what as a manager makes you feel really great about a single parent in the workplace?
Transparent conversations up front are so important. When somebody starts, you can't in an interview ask a lot of questions. So you don't know coming in, having an employee join your team, your company, what their background often is. And so, although I would never ask, are you single or married? Do you have kids or no kids?
Yeah.
When someone fairly early in our working relationship can say, just so you're aware, I'm a single parent and I have one child at home that I take care of. And there are days where I'll need some flexibility. I promise you that I will always get my work done. I will be one of the best teammates and employees that you have on your team if you'll be open to being flexible with me. In every situation, I will be flexible because I appreciate the honesty and the transparency to understand your situation. And I want you to bring your best self to work. So why would I not want to be supportive of you being your best self? And that's being the best parent you can be. Now, not all managers or leaders may be that way, but I think if we encourage single parents to be more transparent in some of these conversations, they will be given more opportunities for flexibility.
Well, that's huge, and that's very, very good of you and of many others who are following along with that. It was, I guess, one of the statistics I studied is 1 in 3 kids are being raised in a single parent home in Texas, 1 in 4 in the U.S. And so it's not really a small part of the population that we're talking about. It's a very large part. And so thank you and kudos to you and your team for creating that opportunity. It's really huge. Daryl, what do you want to ask Nate before we move on?
This has all been so good and inspirational to say the least. But let's talk about how Gabb Wireless is working with Single Parent Advocate to help families there in the Dallas area. Yeah.
So Stacy and I connected maybe a month ago. I don't even know if it's been a month. I put out a post on LinkedIn and I said, I'm looking to help college students from single parent homes. I'd like to mentor and help once a week. And I was looking to pull a group of college students together so that I could have 10 to 12 in the conversation. And Stacy, her friend Hillary, connected to Single Parent Advocate, reached out, made a comment on the post and said, we'd love to help in some way, either help you find college students or just support what you're doing. And less than a month later, Stacy and I have had multiple conversations. I took her name to our executive team, and we were considering giving donations for the holidays, and we selected Single Parent Advocate for this holiday. So we are going to be giving Stacy and her team $10,000 to help with Thanksgiving meals and holiday gifts. Stacy, I'll let you share anything else that comes to mind, but that's how we got connected. 30 days. And here we are on a podcast, $10,000 for single parents. We're going to help with Thanksgiving and Christmas together. It's just awesome.
It's just an answer to prayer. When I connected with Nate the first time, Daryl, it was just like it is today. He's very, very authentic and kind and, grateful for the work that we're all doing to try to, fill the gap in the lives of families that come our way. And so we're going to take all of that support and we're going to put it to work. And we're so grateful and excited about it. And so there's a lot of times when companies can come alongside with volunteer power or come alongside with, sometimes organizational or help do heavy lifting, for us. And I think for me, it feels like a strong validation that I'm headed in a meaningful direction for the people that my heart really glows for, if you will. And so thank you. It's really going to help a lot. So we're already checking our list and making it twice and taking surveys from the families. There's 105 of them that are 106 because I got a new request today, but we'll be coming alongside them. And then there's over 350 children that and teens that will need support. And so it's going to be huge, and we're going to make much of it.
I wish my mom would have had access to an amazing person like you. She was all on her own, and her parents helped, but she was all on her own. And I wish she would have had an advocate group that cared about her and knew what she was going through. So I have so much love and appreciation for you for helping people.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is just a perfect example of why I love being a very small part of this project. Stacy and I connected. I was looking for a guest for my podcast, Not in the Mood with Daryl Moody, where I basically talked about the trials of being a single parent. And that's how this all came to be. But, Stacy and I talk about this all the time, about how we want this show to be a resource to the folks who find it online and listen to it. And it's amazing to watch this unfold in real time. And usually Stacy's the one who gets choked up.
I think that the message here for anybody who's listening or watching is you are not alone. We are not alone. And we have to hold up our hand. That's the first big step, is I'm willing to be authentic. I'm willing to connect, and I'm willing to say I'm a little different, or I need a little help. And there's somebody that's going to reach back, and it's scary to say I have a need, if you will, or a special situation. But the truth is, single parents are a very, very big part of the population. And in order for our children to succeed, and I would argue in order for our workforce to succeed, our workforce needs our single parents to have a path to success. And Nate and Gabb Wireless, I can see that you guys are on the forefront of that, and it's inspiring, and it makes me feel so good. And thank you.
Well, even more than financial support and organizations like yours, like the products that you have here at Gabb Wireless can give parents peace of mind, and you can't put a dollar value on that.
Yeah, single parent, they don't have so much to worry about. Their day is filled with worry. Where is my kid? Are they taken care of? Are they fed? Are they safe? And so we want to play a small part in taking that worry off of their mind and give them peace of mind and being able to stay connected to their kids. Stacy, I'd add really quick to what you shared. You are not weak if you ask for help. You're not weak. You're strong because you care enough to ask. If we could just shift that mentality with single parents, you are not weak if you ask for help. You're strong because you cared to ask. In every situation, even over the last couple of months as I've been helping students from single parent homes, if these students ask, I will help every time. If they don't ask, I don't know. Asking is a massive step, and I think we're so reserved to ask because it's a sign of weakness. Asking is strong.
I'm just kind of beside myself with the way this whole show has unfolded today. It's just been amazing to be a part of. And Nate, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for helping to support Stacy and Single Parent Advocate. Stacy, what else you got?
Well, Nate, what I wanted to do is highlight just a little bit, and maybe since this is all live right now, would you like to tell everyone the dates and the promotion that's coming up for single parents, and what Gabb Wireless is doing even further? Sure.
Thank you. So today is November 1st. In 2 days, Wednesday, November 3rd, we are going to give away 2,500 phones. And we want those to go to single parents. So from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Mountain Time. So in Texas, it would be Central. So what would that be? If it's 10 to 12 here, it's 11 to 1 Central. You can go on gabbwireless.com. And when you select to purchase a phone as a single parent, you'll be able to take that phone during that 2 hours and check out of the shopping cart, and it will be free. There is a monthly service associated, just like any cell phone plan, with receiving that phone that you'll pick and sign up for, but you'll receive the device for free. The device full price is $99.99. So we're essentially giving away 2,500 of them at $100 a piece, or $250,000 worth of phones. The hope and goal with that is to give parents, single parents, a chance to kickstart their holidays with a gift that they can share with their child, and coming out of the holidays have a better way to stay connected and communicate with your kids. So it's pretty simple. No other details than that. This coming Wednesday, 2-hour window, gabbwireless.com, select a phone. It'll check you out for free, and you'll be on your Gabb safe tech protected way.
Well, that's huge.
Awesome.
That is giant, and everybody's going to be so grateful. So, Nate, thank you very much for who you are, who you've become. And please just know we really, really are super grateful and excited, and we appreciate your message very, very much.
Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate you. And Daryl, thank you for taking the time again.
Thanks for coming on the show. That's all we got for you this week, folks. Remember, log on to singleparentadvocate.org. Again, a special thanks to Nate Randle, CEO of Gabb Wireless. Their website is gabbwireless.com. We ask you to follow Stacy and Single Parent Advocate on all the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. And we'll talk to you next week with our next show.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
See ya.